On this episode of Audiobook Club, in perhaps the biggest week for new releases in the publishing calendar, we retreat to 2011 to curl up in a corner with my favourite comfort audiobook of all time. Hello and welcome to Audiobook Club, the audiobook review and recommendation podcast that this week, we're just doing my favourite audiobook. I'm just going to lead it with that. There's no sort of witty witticism this week. Matt, as ever, is here alongside me, the crime-fighting audiobook reviewers without so much crime, in fact, 0% crime writing. I don't know... indeed, I've moved from crime fighting to crime writing. Well, this has taken a weird one already, isn't it? We're only literally 30 seconds in, and this podcast...
What are you on about? It's very interesting. We normally record late at night, and this is early Saturday morning. To be honest, I feel like death warmed up. I've been unwell with some mystery ailment for a couple of weeks.
That's a good name for an audiobook, though.
What, mystery ailment?
Death warmed up by mystery ailment, maybe. Change your name if you wanted to.
Their difficult second album.
Yeah, the horrendous second album.
And so I've actually been in bed this week cuddling Jack Reacher's. I've gone back to that. My comfort books, it seems to be, and on the week where Boris Johnson, former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, is bouncing from television to television studio, promoting his new book by lying, and also Miranda Hart, who ticks many of our boxes. Your comedy one, my tall person one. You know, both of them have released book. It's the biggest biggest publishing date in the calendar. I'm going to use the C word here because we're in the run up to Christmas.
Oh, thank God!
Steve Jobs, by the way.
Right, there's an E straight off the bat there. Right. By the way, we're doing Miranda next week. By the way.
Did I mention I'm not very well?
Yes.
Right. Apologies.
Notice that. Well, we'll move on. I've realised why I did say crime writing and crime fighting. I think we're just doing too many murder mysteries. That's where it just came from. It's just built in now, I think. But,
what? I'm going to disagree with you. By the way, I'm saying this is done on Saturday morning, so there will be some. How will it be different? I think there's going to be some rambling. I hope there's going to be some comforting rambling. We are the consommé, the Heinz tomato soup of podcast this week, I think, Steve.
Yeah. When's the best before date?
2011. Yeah.
Well, yes.
You know what? We were.
We were many, many years ago. We were people that no one really heard of then either. So 2011, a big time for the audiobook world. And
what are we doing and why are we here, Steve?
Well, last week we talked about our comfort books. We've got a few lined up to talk to you about because we've been listening to Stanley Tucci's new one that was released on the 10th. We have got Miranda in the pipeline as well, her autobiography. It was great to see her back on telly, by the way, again, recently. And so we've got all those lined up. But the conversation turned to comfort audiobooks. Now, these are books that you just always have on your phone or your whatever device you're listening to. And it's always been there. And you just, sometimes you just need a fix. You just need a little bit of, either the narrator's tone of voice or the storytelling. It's just something you just want to dip in and out of for 10 minutes or maybe longer, because it's something that you've had on your phone for absolutely years. And it's just one of those favorites, even though you thumbed through it audibly for a number of occasions over a long period of time.
Well, so hold on. Let's just do this thing. So you're describing the digital equivalent of something dog-eared, aren't you?
Yeah. This MP3 file has gone yellow.
And is curling at the corners. But you and I met when we were working in radio for the BBC, old-fashioned pulsing through the air in invisible waves radio.
You're not going to mention the third program and the light program in this passage.
We are not quite that old, but one of the things that brought me to have a passion for radio to the extent that I devoted the start of my career to it, and clung on for as long as I possibly could, was the idea that radio brings you company and familiarity. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. Yeah, completely.
Anything to do with why you got into this business we call show?
It's the most intimate medium, isn't it? You have, and I never forget the words of the great Terry Wogan. He always refers to his listener, not listeners. He's not high. You'd never hear him say hello everybody. It would always be, he wouldn't even say hello you or anything like that, but you felt like he was just talking to you, and no other medium cuts through like that at all, ever.
And the interesting thing about audiobooks is most of them are one person talking to you at a time, certainly. So, again, I think, can you seriously listen to this book over and over again, Steve? Why would you do that? You know all the facts already.
Okay, so the facts are, Steve Jobs, the exclusive biography by Walter Isaacson. It's narrated by Dylan Baker. And this is the book. Well, I would like to say it's the first audiobook I bought. I'm not sure it was. Actually, a tip of the hat to Toby Haydock. I think it was Moth Ate My Doctor Who Scarf was the very first one I bought. And actually, the first one I ever listened to, I think as a kid, was Doctor Who and State of Decay. So you get an idea of my fandom. But I bought this book in the 5th of May 2016. And it's it predates Audible and all of that. This is the I bought it from iTunes. It's the Audiobooks app on your phone for Apple Audiobooks, and it's been sat on there ever since. And it's the one I've always gone back to. Now it's 25 hours and 3 minutes long, so it's not something I've done I did it once end to end, and then after that, over the preceding 8 years or so, I've kind of gone back to little passages of it, either his early life or during the setup of Apple, when he lost control of Apple and got kicked out of the company, Pixar, and then the return, of course, and obviously the rest is history with that. But it's something I've dipped back into because it's a real comfort. Now, at this point,
hold on. Before you go on, right? Yeah. Question for you. Sometimes when you have a tatty, dog-eared, pulped tree traditional type book, you have corners of the pages folded to bits that you like and annotations and notes. Do you know where the bits are that you want to listen to, and how long are those bits?
They're quite long. And it's usually you want to hear about a certain section of his life again, and it matches your mood. If you need a bit of inspiration, this is one of the best books you can have. This was the man who just, he obviously had his character flaws, and he used to crush people, but at the same time he could be the most inspirational man you've ever met. And so if you just think, I sometimes I go away putting this audiobook, turn this audiobook off, when I finished it or whatever, or finished the passage I want to listen to, thinking I could invent anything that could take over the world. That'd be amazing, because it really lifts you up that way.
You see, that's precisely the reason I was dreading it, to be honest. Oh, here we go. Here's another book about a tech bro. I don't particularly like Apple products. I never have done, partly because in the 1990s, when you and I were in our pomp, and the early 2000s, everybody was going the Mac fandom. You used the word fandom a minute ago. People going, oh well, the Mac is much superior, and you're just an idiot for using a PC. And I went, well, I like to right click, so I've always had this inbuilt aversion to the snobism of people who are engaged with Apple products to that extent, to that passionate about them. And of course, being me, I'm so grumpy, I've done it to the extent that it's done me harm. In 2009, I think the iPhone the 3 came out, and basically for people with a vision impairment, vision impairment's worse than mine. It was a device that worked, that they could genuinely use without the medium of sight. But of course, I just sit there and go, well, I would do that, but I don't know how to set it up because I can't read the bloody writing on it because it's too small. So itself, the other thing I always objected to, you mentioned you find yours on iTunes audiobooks. I think iTunes is evil. And having made a lot of radio in my time, you can't actually... from when we used to own CDs to buying music on Apple, where you actually, if you read the small print, you actually don't own the music. And because I needed to make radio things with the music, it doesn't let you edit it and protects all the files and walls everything off. It's just a bit creepy and made me run away from it. I paid for the music I downloaded to use for work from Amazon. I insisted on doing that. But those files could be moved around. Apple, they took, what's it called? A walled garden. Is that what they call it, Steve?
Well, they're believing sort of end to end, so everything is in one sort of environment, if you like, and certainly iTunes was set up the way it was because at the time it was set up, it was just, the music industry was massively losing out through piracy. Things like Napster, do you remember that?
I do.
All these kind of audio sharing sites that were free and all the rest of it, and it was a free for all, and so it could have been, and if listening to the audiobook, you'll see what Steve Jobs and his team did to bring the music industry together in agreement to sign up to iTunes, saying essentially, look, you've lost a lot of money through streaming sites like Napster. We will do this, and this for you, and that probably contributed to obviously you not being able to use the music for work and things.
I think we should come back to that because this week I haven't done my homework. I mean, I've got 6 hours in, Steve, to be honest with you. I've enjoyed the 6 hours. So I'm in about 1981, 82. So I've been through, before he was born, his childhood, up until just before the launch of what comes after the Apple II, which I think is going to be the Apple Macintosh. I don't think it's going to be the Apple insert daughter's name here. But... I have views on that, but the wonderful thing is, after this 6 hours, there are so many things I want to pull out and talk to you about, just as general topics of conversation. The book has sparked thoughts, and there's kind of a shtick on this thing that I'm the one who rants and raves about how great audiobooks are, and you keep me under control. But it's so lovely to have a recommendation from you, and yeah, and something that is, again, I'm more fiction, you're more factual, but I really enjoyed having a fiction book and a factual book on the go. I have to say, at the moment, at 6 hours, I tried to pick it up again yesterday, and I frankly had enough.
You don't think you're going to complete all 25?
Well, I will do eventually, particularly as you've inserted loads of spoilers.
Oh, sorry.
I think he probably dies in the end, but like all baddies should. Shall we do our usual? We've rambled, as I predicted we would.
Well, I'll tell you what. Would you like me to just talk about the book to anyone who hasn't come across this book before?
Can I do my usual thing of doing the author and a little bit of the text, and then let you freestyle, brah.
Don't ever veer from the rigid format.
The rigid format is, first of all, we talk about the author, find out who actually put those words on the page. Then we talk about the text itself, the book. In this case, a biography of Steve Jobs. And then we come on to, does the audiobook bring anything to the party? Is it essential to listen to it as an audiobook? Does the performance of the narrator unleash another dimension? So, the author is Walter Seth Isaacson, born May 20th, 1952, American historian and journalist. He's written biographies of important public figures, including Henry Kissinger, Benjamin Franklin, Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs, Jennifer Doudna, and Elon Musk. Steve, I have to say that it's interesting. The introduction for this book is actually read by Walter Isaacson, and he said that Jobs approached him to make him write the biography after he'd written Benjamin Franklin and Albert Einstein's biographies. And I have to say, I do want to find out who Jennifer Doudna or Doudna is, because she's in that list of people who Walter Isaacson has written biographies of. The writing in this book, how has he made me engage with a human that I instinctively shrivel up when I think about it?
I think that's why he was chosen. So just a little bit of background with his storytelling, if you've not heard the audiobook yet. By the way, Jennifer Doudna or Doudna is an American biochemist who pioneered work in CRISPR or CRISPR gene editing, and has made other fundamental contributions in biochemistry and genetics. You see how I just sort of spun that off the top of my head and didn't sound like I was reading off Wikipedia there.
You're a genius. You're a bottomless well of knowledge, you are.
There certainly is a bottom, and it's not too far down. But Walter Isaacson, by
the way, I don't know anything about biochemistry, but yeah, I'll give it a go.
Give it a go.
I'm 6 hours. I'll give it. I'll see what happens.
It's interesting. When we decided to do this book, because obviously since then Walter Isaacson has released Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson, and you look at the front cover, and it's exactly the same format as Steve Jobs, and I kind of bristle at that.
Me too,
to be honest, because it just feels like a second album. The way it's been marketed, it shouldn't have been called Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson, because it's just the reason why I think this book was called Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson is Steve Jobs was so into aesthetic design and simplicity and all the rest of it. I think he did actually. I think it's noted in the book that he had a massive say on the look of this book.
Yeah,
you know, the front cover, the stark white background, the black and white photo of Steve Jobs. There are different versions of him in different ages, but it's always that kind of basic font at the top. Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. That's it. And it feels like the whole Elon Musk thing. I mean, it may have been what was. I only
found the Elon Musk. I only saw pictures of the Elon Musk book this morning, and again, and we're failing to talk about Walter Isaacson here abysmally. But my impression of Steve Jobs is the guy in the black polo neck who stands on a stage introducing his brand new product, very full of himself, and then it turns out you get your hands on the product and he has changed the universe. Spool forward 10 years and standing on a stage in front of his Cybertruck wearing a black polo neck is Elon Musk. And this whole the Messiah man thing just turns me off. If I hadn't gone straight to Walter Isaacson, Steve Jobs, and had seen the cover of the Elon Musk book, I might have churlishly gone, I'm not interested in these self-promoting, funny enough, we're probably not allowed to say this, but I did a thing this week. We mentioned Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson, one of the things he's come out and done is say, he was being interviewed by Nick Ferrari, who is a UK broadcaster who works on the station LBC, studio interview with former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who all the way through his career had avoided telling people just how many children he had. And Nick Ferrari goes, "And so, Mr. Johnson, how many children do you actually..." 8! So Boris Johnson has 8 children, and now I'm going to do some frantic typing and Googling, Steve. But Elon Musk has Elon Musk.
We will come back, dear listener.
No. This is it makes him all real, man. I'm keeping it real.
In the meantime, here's some music. The sound of tapping away. Pages from CFAX. 11.
But the thing that really struck me was that over the course of the last 4 years, he's had children with Grimes and somebody else. But he seemed that the births of the children have overlapped. So, hold on. Oh dear,
this has diverged a little bit here.
Well, no, yeah, all right. So look, focus on it. But he's had babies with Grimes and babies with somebody else at the same time. He keeps them in a coven. You and I have been on the training course that taught us about toxic masculinity and. How we have to be nice.
You bring this up rather a lot recently, on a weekly basis about me going on a training course. By the way, I've not been on a training course.
You need to go on a No, you don't need to go on a training course. I need to go on the training course. But
tie me to your sinking ship, mate. I mean, I'll gladly join a course, but I must make the legal stipulations.
But what I know is I don't want to be like that. I don't aspire to being like that. No. More children than hands doesn't make any sense because if they both go off in different directions, it's stuff. But this whole, and perhaps it's because I lack something here that I don't feel the need to create an empire and sire generations of descendants. I don't know. I don't think that applies to the type of man specifically that you are, Steve.
No, I mean just one descendant would be good.
Yeah,
we'll pull my finger out on that one, but I'm reliably informed
that's not
how it works.
If you're using your finger, you're doing it wrong.
Exactly.
There we go. Moving on. But
so Walter Isaacson.
No. Come on. So Steve, I mean, as a bloke, do you? Because lots of young people are aspiring to be Steve Jobs or Elon Musk. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't necessarily think they are great role models.
No, they're not. I mean, well, in one respect they are, in another respect they're not. I mean, Steve Jobs was remarkable in terms of what he achieved, how he achieved it. His interpersonal relations, again, questionable. He was very much a man who was binary. Either something was absolutely the best thing he'd ever seen, or it was complete garbage. It was one or the other. When he was shown designs, he would rip people apart in, the developer meetings and the cool stand-ups or whatever, meetings they are with his developing team and so on, or designers or whoever it could be. He could either be your best friend or just really, you could be really put off him.
I'm still in the 1970s, and he was working for Atari, and he went over to Europe to speak to the people who'd been given the license to sell Atari products over there. And basically, they had a problem with him, and they complained to the CEO of the Atari Corporation that not only was he rude and unfriendly, and actually his personal hygiene and way of presenting himself was very off-putting. He was convinced that because he had a vegetarian or fruitarian diet that he didn't need to use deodorant. So he smelt and he was obnoxious to his core, an objectionable human being. And the CEO's question was, well, did he solve the problem? And I said, well, yeah, he did. Well, then. And I just think, I don't know, I think we've moved on since then as a civilization, haven't we?
Yeah, you'd like to think so. I think different organisations work in different ways. I think most organisations are very much sort of obviously they're technically CEO led, but it's the personality of that CEO that also massively affects things as well. The ego of that CEO, and Steve Jobs had, he had a certain personality type. Some may describe that as malignant narcissism. He used it constantly in the book. It's referred to his reality distortion field, where he has a conversation with you and he changes the rules of the game to win the argument without you realizing he's done it. And you find yourself agreeing with him, which is a talent, but also it's something that I would suggest that people without that, that I don't know, narcissistic trait, I don't know if it is narcissism, but without that tendency would find very difficult to achieve. I'm terribly English. I apologise for existing.
Yeah.
And I could never do that.
My pronouns are thank you and sorry. But does that remind you of anybody else that we might have mentioned in the course of this discussion? And please don't tell me I have to read. I'm going to have to read the bloody Boris Johnson biography, aren't I?
Well, I think it's probably in the post, isn't it? Not literally, it'll be on downloads. But
we
but
managed to avoid Prince Harry, but I think now I've said it again. And this country at this point, I think we've all had enough of Boris Johnson.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to not do it. I mean, we've got the Anthony Seldon biography of Liz Truss is also out as well.
Yeah,
How Not to Be a Prime Minister, basically. And he's widely noted as the biographer of the Times. You know, the account of premierships at number 10 Downing Street.
He's got some catching up to do.
Can I just talk about with this book? I'd like to get an understanding from you as to first of all, as to why you went from being someone who didn't want to engage with this book at all to be someone who really became a fan of this particular book. What was it about it? And we talk about, and this is everything, the performance of the narrator, the storytelling, everything.
Yeah, okay. And the answer is the first thing that this book did to me was make me bristle. And that was to do with Steve Jobs' adoption. So he was born in 1955, I believe. And he was adopted by a working class family who lived in San Francisco. His dad was a mechanic. He used to repossess cars and restore them and sell them on. And the author goes, well, this is, just a sign of, where Jobs may have picked up the influence of understanding the mechanics of stuff. And he goes, and then he wouldn't tell the IRS about it either. I went, oh, look, there's the seeds of the tax avoidance that's going on in there. But the adoption is, and as an adopted person myself, the three words are repeated over and over again that Steve Jobs apparently used about himself and felt about himself were abandoned, special, and chosen. And to be honest, special and chosen were in my childhood. I was told that I was special because my mum and dad had chosen to have me. There was obviously a book around at the time that told them to say that. But this whole thing about it was being abandoned by his parents when he was born that made him, tore a hole in the middle of his life. And I was going, no, that's just what it is, dude. And it goes here, it would be 20 years until they would find each other, meaning Steve Jobs and his biological parents. And the book oscillates and vacillates as to whether this is really important or not important at all. And I just found that made me go, bleh. But again, the book is about somebody who, in certain lights, is a baddie. And I guess by getting my hackles up, I think I was pulled in by that. I loved Walter Isaacson's intro, just to get the rest of our structure out of the way. Does the audiobook bring anything? I enjoyed hearing Walter Isaacson read the introduction to the book and then hand over to a voiceover artist who had the stamina and he was like Walter Isaacson turned up to 11, I thought. So you had it's definitely written and read in Walter Isaacson's voice. Does that make sense?
Completely. Did you enjoy the performance? I'm interested.
I'm going to say that, again, and this is the factual world over the fictional world, that actually, of course, there is no room to make it into the highest echelon of what we consider good audiobookery, which is if a narrator performs a book brilliantly and brings a performance, then does the voices, then we put a little thing that says narrated. We cross out narrated and put performed by when we talk about the voice artist. And
That's interesting. Yeah.
I just think there wasn't room to do that here. I think it was perfectly competent. It's better than I could have done. It's really hard to do it. It's a steady hand on the tiller. But yes, reading such a long, detailed biography has been an interesting experience. And, as radio producers, when we are doing that, your job, you've done your job the best if you aren't noticed. And I think there's a little bit, there weren't any crashing errors, there weren't any irritations. He was like, as I say, an amped up version of Walter Isaacson himself. I don't think I could have taken 25 hours of Walter Isaacson, but I think even that editorial decision where you finish the prologue and go into chapter 1, I think that it goes, all right, yeah, because his voice it was a little weak. It wasn't quite strong enough. He was an authoritative academic, but then the idea that he, knew it was better for him to step back, I thought was, again, in the conversations that happened in my head, not necessarily in the publishing house or the audiobook studio, but the idea that they found somebody who represented the voice of the author so well was great. But I don't, it's not exactly the woman who does Bart Simpson, is it?
No, can I pick you up on that, on your point earlier on about how you can't necessarily put a non-fiction narrator up in the performance category because of the criteria.
Bring it, bitch.
Now, well, I'll follow up another question. Do you feel that the narrator actually aided your engagement with the book, because you went from a negative to you went from a detractor to a promoter, basically? So did the narration contribute to that?
I don't find it as comforting as you do. I was concentrating on the new information that was landing in my ears and the writing. But what is it for you that because you have been, ranting and raving is the wrong expression to use, but you have been speaking enthusiastically of of the voiceover artist. What is it about you that's made you wave your arms in the air screaming and making me read this book? Dylan Baker is his name, isn't it?
Dylan Baker, and it's a combination. I'm the same as you, actually. I remember sort of, not necessarily in 6 hours, in maybe earlier. Actually, it was just kind of it was ingesting the information. It's a lot always to take in. And then the reason why I keep going back to it is actually Dylan Baker. So it's Dylan Baker and the combination of the storytelling. Walter Isaacson's storytelling is so simple. It's basically an account of what happened, bringing in at the right people at the right time and their accounts of it. So describing what happens. That's all he does. But it's a simplicity of it, and it's just very factual. But it also makes it just feels so accessible. These people who he brings in, he brings in. I don't know. There's talk of Bob Iger, Michael Eisner from Disney, and Barack Obama, and he just brings in these people, and they just say, well, he just said this, and it makes them sound like the normal people you meet in the room. And that's a combination of the storytelling, but also Dylan Baker's narration, and I'd say performance of it, is that it's a lot to take in. What a life. It's 25 hours long, this audiobook. You need, as you say, someone to make it as accessible as possible, and I think he's got a very sort of warm voice. It's very it's a good slow pace as well that in what he delivers, and I find it one of those things that I always keep going back to, because I don't necessarily want something, if I'm listening to something, or I'm wound up, or I've had a stressful day, or the current audiobook I'm listening is probably a bit too full on for me at that particular point in time in my mood, then I will put Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson on, because it's like a balm to me, actually.
Well, that's an incredibly personal relationship that you have with the book.
It's only my view. It's not a fact that I'm
but that's great, isn't it? Because again, if we look back to Derren Brown, when we spoke about his book, where he was looking at his bookcase, and the comfort and memories that the physical books brought him, and that were personal. Admittedly, we won't say what happens next. But books are things that you can relate to, and it's really interesting that, again, you, as ever, hide your light under a bushel, and you've had this in the last 8 years, Steve, since you've owned this book. How many hours do you reckon you have listened to it?
Probably, I'd say probably 60 to 70.
Right. And the same passages over. That's amazing. That's really good.
There was one occasion where I picked it. Actually, I did a visit to. This is really random. I did a day trip to Radio Caroline. And so, for anyone who doesn't know globally, if you are in America, which I second most
no, sorry.
Radio Caroline is...
That's £2 in the swear box now.
No, come on. I'll put 2 quid in the swear box. But Radio Caroline...
do you go to the reunion parties? Do you?
No, I just did they just do day trips. Radio Caroline is a radio station on a ship, and it predates Radio 1 in the UK. It was a pirate radio station. The original ship burnt down or got caught in a storm, but basically got destroyed. Its transmitter hurtled towards the 2 journalists who were inside the cabin at the time. Anyway, but since then it's like nostalgia trips. So you go and sail out to the boat and have a visit there. On my way back, I had quite a drive home, and I thought actually I had one of those moments where I needed a bit of Steve Jobs, so I put the audiobook on, and and that was probably midway point. I think he was about to be kicked out of Apple, and then go to Pixar, and I picked it up from there right to the end again. So we're talking about sort of 8 to 10 hours, like listening to a new audiobook, which is roughly that length. So I'd probably say I've done that a few times in the intervening sort of 8 years or so. So yeah, probably 60 to 70 hours I've been listening to it.
While you have been telling us that, I've been looking up other audiobooks by Dylan Baker. I don't know if you've ever listened to anything else he's ever done.
I did the same search actually earlier on this week.
Yeah,
and I did a sample of, and I just need to check it up again actually. But you carry on. Again, 2 men looking up stuff on Google. But he was in The Good Wife, Little Women, Inside Man, Damages. As a result, he's a proper actor. He is. No, he is, absolutely. He's got a great voice. He's voiced a number of audiobooks. I really recommend. He's one of my favourite audiobook narrators, but purely because of this book, of course.
Have you listened to anything else he's done?
No. I must do though.
Would that spoil it for you? Because it would be, particularly if he took on a different tone, would that drive you up the wall?
No, actually, you know what? Actually, I did. I started listening to The Corrections by Jonathan Franzen, which is a fiction book.
Yeah.
And then I stopped because I didn't really like the way it was being told by Dylan Baker. So I just went, okay, I just did a search under his name, and I just went, where's the next sort of story, factual story account? And I found How Starbucks Saved My Life by Michael Gates Gill. And I started listening to that, and it was like listening to more Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. He would just go, and this guy was in a Starbucks and he ordered a coffee, and that's a terrible impression, but it was that same sort of thank you. It was that same sort of thing. Anyway, we should think about wrapping things up.
Really? Oh, I was enjoying the rambling. I've got loads. I want to talk to you about Atari.
Go on.
And well, maybe we'll come back to these things. Atari. Oh yeah, Steve Jobs loved the minimalist design of Pong. No, it was the only thing that's possible at the time. Black screen, 2 white lines, and a little ball. And then, what else did I want to talk to you about? I've got a list of stuff I wanted to talk to you about. The start of Apple, the Apple name, starting a business with a mate. I thought we could maybe have a discussion about that. There might be something relevant we'd find in there.
Yeah, let's do it. We can start here.
Well, maybe we should dip in, dip out. Yeah. The occasional series. I would like for you, from this point forward, whenever you have a moment where you go, I just need to listen to Dylan Baker reading Walter Isaacson, I would like you to tell me which bit you're reading, and then I'll read it with you, and we'll come back and do, I think they're called an occasional series, aren't they? We'll do little shorter inserts on particular topics from this book. It's,
we could call it Matt and Steve on Steve and Walter, but that could be an entirely different kind of feature. Put that behind a paywall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Best place for it.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, okay, we'll do that. This is the occasional series then. Anyway, but it's a massive recommendation from me, of course, and it feels like it might be a massive. Stick with it, dudes. Keep going after those first 6 hours.
Again, it's lovely to have a book that I think, yes, I will have occasions where I'll want to pick it up, and it will, like with a normal book. I mean, at the moment, the first 500 or so audiobooks I've listened to, I've gone from start to finish. Yeah. It's nice to have one that actually is too much information to take in at one point. I can put it down, and I can see myself listening to stuff again, particularly if it's something that you and I want to talk about. Yeah. So let's keep it as a faithful friend. I have enjoyed it and would recommend it, and don't be daunted by the fact that it's a picture of Steve Egomaniac Jobs on the cover next to the book that has Elon Egomaniac Musk on the cover, written by the same author. The book is fair and even-handed, isn't it, Steve?
It is, and actually it was only now I got reminded this week when we said we do this book again that I realised it was 25 hours long. Usually I just go, what? I am never going to finish that in time for next week's show. But with this one, it didn't feel like 24 hours long, and it was. I think this is the perfect way to read it. Don't read it all in one go. If you don't want to, you can do, of course, nothing wrong with that. But you can just dip in and dip out. So there you go. Steve Jobs, the exclusive biography by Walter Isaacson, narrated by Dylan Baker, with Walter Isaacson's prologue. It was released on the 24th of October, 2011. So we're in the same month as that one, but a number of years ago, published by Little Brown Audio. Now then, next week, we change tack and do another bit of a J-turn, don't we, Matt?
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to this. Miranda Hart has released a biography. She is a British comedian, actress, writer, probably writer, actress, comedian is what she'd prefer, I would think. Famously a bit long-limbed and gangly, like what I am. Brilliant self-deprecating humour, famous for her television comedies, BBC television comedy series Miranda, which is a fictionalized version of herself being embarrassing and yeah, it's sort of it's almost rom-com slapstick. Is that fair enough, Steve?
Yeah, you know what? I have a confession here. I've never seen Miranda the sitcom.
Wow.
But I have seen Hyperdrive, which I think was one of her TV debuts. You can't have one of her TV. It's either the debut or not the debut, isn't it? But one of her early works was Hyperdrive. And I've been to the set of Call the Midwife, it turns out, as well, inadvertently.
There are a certain number of women in my life who find her an inspiration for different reasons. And isn't it great that we've got, a tall woman with a sense of humour who is prepared to put herself out there in this world of, photoshopping. It's not called photoshopping anymore, is it, Steve?
What's it called these days?
What do we call the photo? Sure, I've just had a thing pop up on my computer saying, "Help us improve Skype."
Oh, right, okay.
Steve, I had a great idea. I've got two great ideas. We're going to go on Dragon's Den. I've invented these things. I'm going to have a cafe where people can access the internet, and then I'm going to bring in these things called USB memory sticks, so that you can take out what you've done in the internet cafe and put on a stick. I don't know what you think about all those ideas.
My view
Steve.
is there's too much internet. I would like the internet to follow the pattern of 80s television and close down at about midnight, play the national anthem, and just say I would like someone to cut across every single computer screen about midnight and just say, well, that's all we've got time for on the internet for today. Don't forget, the entertainment doesn't necessarily have to stop here. Steve Madden's got his Night Ride on Radio 2, and Annie Nightingale takes you through the night on Radio 1. But from me, Steve Phillips, I'll just wish you, and from all of us here at Internet/Television Centre, a very good night. Good night. Cue the national anthem, and then nothing, not even pages from CFAX until 6 o'clock when the internet can start again. Soapbox moment over. I just went off.
Can I say that was brilliant?
Well, it's just been a bugbear, really. I just miss the simple times of a nice close down. You know, when things could stop for a while. You know,
cue national anthem.
Or whichever national. Obviously, the internet is international, so cue your own national anthem, of course. And to get your own continuity announcer in your own respective language. But essentially the premise is there. You must close down about 12:30 at night.
I wish you could do. Can you do your continuity announcer voice again? Why can't you sound like that every week? Do the asking for interactions and what we're doing next week in your TV announcer voice, and then close us down.
Okay, well, that's all we've got time for now on Audiobook Club. Don't forget, next week we'll be covering I Haven't Been Entirely Honest With You by Miranda Hart, narrated by Miranda Hart, 10 hours and 9 minutes long. It was released on the 10th of October by Penguin Audio. Well, the entertainment doesn't have to stop there. You can listen to any of our previous episodes by joining our feed on wherever you get your podcasts, and we're also on audiobookclub.net. By the way, instantly, a huge thanks to the number of bots on our Instagram account, or the Audiobook Show account, which has piled on 200 more followers than last week, all of which have 3 followers and are trying to sell you something, so please ignore, but do follow us and get in touch. Anyway, from all of us here at Audiobook Towers, it's a very good night from Matt.
Good night.
And a very good night from me. Good night.
Seriously, dude? Scrap the last 30 episodes. That's the best thing we've ever... Why don't you talk like that all the time, you plonker?
It's just an impression I do. It's just it's just.
That's your secret. I know what you dream of when you go to bed at night. That's bloody brilliant,
I'd like to
though.
close things down on screens.
Can you stop doing all this normal talking shit that you do every week and more like that?
Yeah, you see, so what you're saying is I need to lead my life like a continuity announcer.
Yes.
In all my interactions. Well, that's all I've got time for at Sainsbury's. I'll just check out and head back to the car.
Well, again, what could possibly go wrong? I'm sure that nobody who worked in one of those small broom cupboards in Television Centre, I'm sure being stuck in a tiny room like that never led to anybody doing anything wrong because of the emotional trauma.
Yes, very true. Yeah, good point.
That's an oblique reference. Possibly edit that out.
Yeah, maybe. Yes. Yeah. Well, good fun. All good fun. I think we've said goodbye. We've done the goodbye. We're just chatting now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. I just don't know where that came from. I've done it in the past, but...
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.